the chair of the,
There it is, the real
there
one,
you go.
the real one.
Now I have to hit the
Recording
got
in
it or I
progress.
can't see anything.
Very
There we
efficient.
go.
Got
Okay,
it.
Doug is here, who is the chair of the staff committee. I'm assuming that the other people here are on the staff committee. Is that correct? I mean,
correct.
Erin, I know, and Margaret, and Mike, and Man. Okay, good. You're welcome. Welcome to this committee. Okay, what we have to do first is approve the minutes from the March 2022 meeting. Everybody got a copy sometime early in May. Are there any changes? They look fine to me. No? Hearing none, and I just declare that the minutes are approved. Right, Fran?
Right.
Correct? Okay, sounds good. Yeah. All right, that goes fast then. Okay, I would like to ask Doug to do the review of the mission, vision, and updated statements. The ones that you put some changes in from our last meeting, to me, look reasonably good. There's a couple comments I may have, and anybody's welcome to make comments. But you want to go ahead, Doug.
Okay, great. So let me first introduce you to some of our other staff committee members
good.
that are on here. This is Kylie Sparks. She's from Chantilly. We've got Mike as our Reston branch manager. We've got Amanda Post, who is our Herndon branch manager, and you know Margaret and Erin Eisen.
Oh yeah. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So
Okay.
as you mentioned, Brian, the first couple pages of the document you received, the ones that are shaded in blue, are statements that this committee had seen at your last meeting in March and commented on, and then we made the changes you guys suggested. Was there anything specific that oh, great, thanks for sharing that. Anything specific that you had comments on that needed additional revision, Brian?
Well, I just wanted to say on the first one here, where it says FCPL is the proposed vision statement. If you go down just a little bit, I can read it. FCPL is the essential and trusted resource to inform, engage, and inspire our community. Since Fairfax County isn't written out, I thought perhaps you might want to say our Fairfax County community, or spell out Fairfax County Public Library. Then it defines what our community means. That's just a thought, but it's not any requirement.
What does everybody else think about that? It's entirely up to you guys. We'll do it however you like.
Well, I'll just jump in. Isn't our community bigger than Fairfax County?
Yeah.
Because
Fairfax
we're part
City.
of, and we're part of the COG Metropolitan. We have the reciprocal cards, and plus anybody from anywhere can come into our website. So maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm off on that.
Well, we say that in other values and focuses. What bothered me in the first one is that if somebody just reads this and it's the first thing, and they don't know what FCPL means, they don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Could be Falls First Public Library. I don't know. But if we spell out Fairfax County Public Library, then I think it's fine, the rest of it. So I don't know, it's just
You
thought.
could put
That's good.
FCPL in, you could put FCPL in quotes behind it in case it comes up further.
Or paren. I think you put it in paren.
Or in
when you did
parens,
that.
I mean,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
And that way you can use FCPL further on in the document if need be.
That's good.
Well, we do use it a few times it appears in the document. A few
Yeah, I
times.
can see.
It just seemed to me that
Or is
we
this
want to
an-
say what our community is.
Because it's
And
not
I
an
know
internal-
that we have things other than Fairfax County as a political entity, but as a physical thing, we're Fairfax County. We're not Montgomery County, we're not Loudoun County, we're not any of that. I don't know, just a thought.
But I do it the opposite way, Doug. Fairfax County Public Library with FCPL in parens.
Yeah.
The very
Yeah,
first
right.
time.
Right, the
Right.
first time it should be done that way.
Yeah.
So we can certainly make that change and do it, plug in, spell out Fairfax County Public Library. and put
Okay,
it in
great.
parens.
I think then that works beautifully.
Okay, so
But
that would So that'll change the mission statement, just to spell out the library.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I guess you have to do it in both, don't you? Yeah. Okay. I didn't see anything in any of the other ones that you changed from last time, but if anybody else did,
Oh, I have one.
particularly Priscilla, who wasn't here, please let me know.
Or
Yes.
I have
Fran. Yes, Fran.
in the intellectual freedom and equal access. Well, but before, I guess my first question is, we have option 1 and option 2.
Oh, that's
So are we not
beyond
ready for
what we-
that?
Yeah, I would suggest we work our way down to
Okay,
that.
great.
yeah.
If there's
Yeah,
any,
that's a new one.
That's good, yeah.
now if you had any,
Okay.
if the committee has any other comments on the blue highlighted slides from your last meeting, I'm pretty sure we caught all the suggestions that you had and got the wording that you wanted in there.
It
But
looks
if there's
to me
anything else,
like you did.
and like you said, Priscilla, what do you think, Priscilla? You weren't there for our last meeting. Any thoughts on these?
Yeah, no, I feel like they are very clear. I'm a fan of being succinct and specific, and I feel like from my point of view, I don't have any suggestions there, and I have some questions for the salmon colored that it looks like on my side, but I will wait for the appropriate moment.
I figured those would be coming up.
And I printed mine in black
Salmon.
and white. That's why
There you go.
I strayed from the
Yeah.
blue on my copies. I'm so
So-
sorry.
Color coding.
Yeah, I think we're okay through the innovative as far as from what I'm hearing and what I thought when I read it. So we're ready to go to the new values now.
Okay.
I can tell you that I have a reputation of loving the color printer, so.
That's okay. I like it. I actually
I was
print
trying to
these
save
out.
my ink.
Uh-huh.
I print them out 1 per page, and that way I have room to write underneath.
There you go.
Yeah. Just for the meeting.
So moving on to the salmon colors, if you prefer.
Okay.
So, you'll recall when we left the last meeting, what we had done was basically combine some of our existing values into single values, and those were the last couple slides that were in blue. These ones that are in orange, salmon, whatever color your screen happens to show them in, are new. That you guys haven't seen yet before you receive this document. One of your priorities was intellectual freedom, as I recall. And so the committee talked a lot about that. We looked at a lot of information about intellectual freedom and talked about trying to use hot button issues that might be politically interpreted, that kind of thing. And that's the first new value you see here is we've titled it Intellectual Freedom and Equal Access.
Okay. My personal feeling is I like the second option because I like accent things like FCPL provides, et cetera. But let's open it up to discussion. Anybody? Fran, you said you had something on this one, right?
Well, I agree with you. I like the action word in option 2. And then with the little paragraph afterward, I wondered if we should start with the more general, the phrase, we adhere to professional ethics and standards for public libraries and protect the rights of library users to read any materials and seek information they like. I mean, it's not a big deal to me. I just felt like that was sort of, you start with the general and then go to the specific, but I may be, but I like it the way it is also.
I know what you're saying. I personally like the specific up front, but again, let's hear what other people may have to say on this one. You have anything, Priscilla or Suzanne, on this new value?
I have a couple of thoughts, but my first question maybe to Doug or someone who was on the committee to discuss the two statements. Can you share a little bit behind your choice of the word enlightened?
If I recall correctly, that likely comes out of some of the research that we found. It may have come out of some information from ALA. I'd have to check to see exactly where that may have may have appeared. There was, I don't believe we had any discussion as a committee about that particular word. We've tried not to do too much wordsmithing because that just takes up a lot of time. And we figure since we're sending them your way anyway, for some of that we don't do a whole lot of that. But we really didn't discuss that particular word. So,
well,
but
thanks.
I'm almost positive it comes from an ALA.
As a championship cup holder of wordsmithing, that always sticks out to me, right? The choice of words and language. And the reason that one caught my eye in particular is because the statement in and of itself is showing this. I'm presuming and inferring a lot here, so feel free to correct me, but is presuming an open and, open, free discourse, access, equity. Enlightened sounds like it is assessing the discourse or characterizing the discourse. Like I might consider a word more like authentic or not put in another word and say facilitate open public discourse and not put a qualifier there, only because it leads the question, what is enlightened and what isn't enlightened? And I think, we could suppose what we mean by that, we mean respectful, or we mean, well thought out and considered, or someone might think that is a judgment that's leading towards like a political view or something like that. And so to avoid that impression, I'm thinking that that word isn't doing anything additional to either of the statements when you have the word open in front of it.
That's interesting. I didn't focus on that when I read. Oops, I think I said I liked the second one better. Did somebody erase or take off the?
I did. I'm sorry. I was trying to look at the chat.
That's okay.
I'll put it back up.
That's okay. No problem. But I think I said I like the second option, but enlightened is still in there. What I read enlightened as being is, I guess, probably like informed, because we are a library. And so, we allow people to say things and encourage people to say things, but we like them to be informed when they say them, and we provide the resources to inform them. Maybe we don't have to say that, but that's the way I read it. So I'm fine with leaving the enlightened out and just saying facilitate open public discourse while valuing and defending right to privacy.
I would agree with that.
Okay. And Kylie said in the chat, I see that she agrees. So that's good.
Okay.
Any other thoughts on it?
I'm sorry, Doug, am I interrupting you?
No.
No.
right ahead.
We're kind of open here.
Okay. My question about the second one is, does that cover materials that are not read? Does that cover posted materials on, things on display, video or other format materials, program materials, like, I understand, believe me, I'm not saying that we shouldn't say what we mean, which we absolutely as an entity mean, that we want people to be able to read anything that they choose to read. But I'm just thinking about, without making it a laundry list of things, the first sentence of the first the first option covers any scenario, I think, but I can see the advantage of wanting to actually pinpoint the idea of reading.
Oh, I see. Is that because of the word ideas in there?
No, I think so. It says we protect the rights of library users to read any materials and seek any information they like and adhere to professional ethics and standards for public libraries.
Yeah.
And so to me, that is outlining exactly the materials that are protected by the rights of library users, and not all materials are read, and intellectual freedom also, to my mind, includes the programming that the
Yeah.
library offers, which may or may not include reading, non-text-based materials that users and patrons can have access to, you know, in general displays or other, you know, pieces of either information or content that the library offers. You know, I can even think of if there's a library speaker that is, you know, if when people have a concern about a particular speaker or a particular library program, maybe I'm asking for a too heavy lift, but with the title heading Intellectual Freedom and Equal Access, we're not talking about literacy development or that sort of thing. We're talking about those two concepts. I worry a little bit that should we want to point back to this statement, that someone could come back and say that second option statement doesn't cover something other than a print material.
Yeah, I can see your point. Kylie suggested using the word access. The problem I see with that is that it's in the title. But still, that may not matter. I didn't think about what you did, and for a lot of reasons, but mainly because if they're going to seek any information, that means information, however they absorb it, I guess would be the word.
Yes,
get it.
well,
And that would include reading and seeing and reading on the bulletin board, and you know, that's what we're talking. That's
right.
You know,
And will it include like sound recordings that we check out in videos and you know, other things too? But I think you get my point. I won't.
Well, but I'd like to, I miss the embracing diversity of people, opinion, and thought in the second option, because I'm thinking about the drag queen story time. And you know, that's like a diversity of people, opinion and thought. And I think that's a really important you know, general statement, that I think we need something like that, if not exactly that. And then the other thing is, I think I hadn't thought about the word enlightened, but I think the word informed might be better, because I think enlightened does have sort of a connotation of, are you enlightened or not? And, you know, it's kind of subjective, whereas informed it includes and is not, doesn't have any, there's sort of some emotional baggage, I think, on enlightened, or political baggage. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. And then the more I do think about it right now, I like the idea of informed. I think informed would be better. And I think Priscilla has a really good point about including more than just reading any materials. And by saying we embrace diversity of people, opinion, and thought, I think that can serve to do that.
I understand that. One reason I didn't worry about it is there's another value later on that you'll see that has diversity and inclusion in it. So this being, it's kind of one document, it's our strategic plan. I don't know that we have to hit everything in every value statement or anything, but others may have a different opinion.
Yeah, I think to me, the diversity and inclusion value is more about the process and experience of being in the library versus the access to resources. But
so you're saying it needn't be here if we have another diversity?
No, I'm saying I'm agreeing with Fran that and Kylie is saying that I feel we do need I mean, I think it's a beautifully crafted and simple opening to that option one, and it could be considered as an introductory statement to option two in the intellectual freedom and equal access. And I understand the word diversity is in there, and we are talking about supporting and propelling diversity and inclusion in the last value that's listed there. But to me, that last value is about the entire community. It is not about what the library provides. It's about the library experience and the employee and patron public respect for each other and in invitation to participate in the library versus the intellectual freedom and equal access. The way I read it is more about what the library offers.
Okay.
Doug,
Me-
can you,
I-
can you
I'm
Can you tell
sorry.
us a little bit more from the staff perspective, what your thought process was between these two offerings? Because it sounds like the committee's got
Sure.
interest in both of them. Like, was there one that you all were leaning more towards? Were you suggesting a longer one?
Well, so let me
Also
offer
put
two
in-
thoughts on this, and then if any of our other staff committee members wants to chime in, feel free. In terms of option 2, our general assumption was that would apply to all of our library materials, not just what's read, but anything that we offer, whether that's a recording that you listen to, or whether it could be a poster hanging up in the building. That kind of approach, more of an all-encompassing library materials way to look at that statement.
Mm-hmm.
And then regarding option 1, we actually had an option that we started with, which listed not just people, opinions, and thought, but a number of other things where we talked about, do we include this? Do we include that? Is someone going to read this and think, oh, well, I'm not included in that because my fill in the blank is not listed. And so we opted for fewer options rather than trying to be all encompassing with the options that we provided.
Mm-hmm.
Any of
So-
our other committee members remember those discussions or have thoughts on this? Okay.
Can I just say something? There are 2 parts to whatever we choose. The, what is it called? The statement, the mission statement and the vision statement or something like that. So in option 2, I like that mission statement because it's action. I've said that already. FCPL provides free, equitable, and confidential access to information, as opposed to the one that's in option 1. Okay, that's now, others may have other opinions, and please say them if you do. But I think that's one way to look at it, is to say what that vision statement is, or mission statement, I'm sorry. Then the vision statement is the second paragraph, and I'm fine with including the diversity if people think we should. I just, we have to come up with a statement. So somehow option 1 and option 2 together need to say something. I understand what Fran said about the professional ethics and standards. She thinks it should be first. I don't know that it matters, but yeah, that is a separate thing, and we should say it. We adhere to professional ethics and standards for public libraries. And if we think that should be first, that's fine. And what does that mean? It means we embrace the diversity of people and opinions. We, create conditions. We protect the rights. We do lots of other stuff. So maybe what needs to be done is to break out that vision statement with pieces of what are in both of your options, unless, as Jessica said, if the staff had very strong opinions on one or the other, as opposed to putting them together, we'd like to hear that. So that's my take on it. But again, I'm fair of this, but I am not a dictator. So you guys, feel free to chime in. And I saw something written and then it disappeared before I could read it. So on the
Yeah,
chat.
Amanda had a comment there where she agreed with your input about having, I think if I caught her text real quick, that likes
Yeah,
the
maybe.
mission part of number 2, but the vision part of number 1, minus the word enlightenment. Or
Okay.
enlightenment.
And that does say, and number 1 does say, professional ethics and standards. It says,
Yeah, we really liked that statement, and so it ended up.
oh
in
yeah,
both.
yeah. I think it's important. And well, I mean, we hear about bands and people who want to do things and stuff. And I absolutely want to say up front that no, we go with ALA, we do all that stuff. So until that changes, and we all agree that that would be a good change, maybe, which I don't think I would agree to, but still, we're going to go with what they say. We're open, we're diverse, we have lots of information. Anybody can get anything, and that's why I have library cards. And that's just my gut feel. But yeah,
So
I'd be
one of the
fine with
beauties, one of the beauties
Yeah.
of this process, Brian, is that you don't actually have to choose one or the other. You can,
that.
we can
Sure.
combine
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
and create
Okay.
a whole nother option for you guys
Okay.
to then review
Well,
and decide.
I'd
One
be
of the-
fine with that, but I don't want to extend it so long that we don't have, we don't meet whatever time frame we need to meet for a strategic plan. In my personal view, I don't think there should be a time frame, but I think, Jessica, you explained that there is only because of the state and funding. So if there
Correct.
is a time we have to get this done, we need to do it before that time.
This
Otherwise,
calendar year.
I'm fine. Say again,
Yep.
please.
We need to get it done this calendar year.
This
So before
calendar
December
year.
31st.
Oh, okay. So not
Anytime.
this fiscal year. I thought it was a fiscal year.
Oh, no,
good.
no. We've
Yes.
got, I mean, we would love to have this done before.
I
the
know.
end
The
of
sooner the
calendar year, so
better,
we can get
because
it
I
posted
get
and
tired
printed
of
and things like
yeah.
that, but
It's like,
Um,
but it's fun
so-
to talk about, frankly, and fun to think
No,
about.
it is.
In my
These
view.
are-
So
these are
like it.
fascinating discussions that we don't often make time for
Yeah.
because there's so many other
Mhm.
things going on.
right, and it creates well, obviously a set of values that people have to either buy into or
Yeah.
they can be on the board, or
Yeah.
they couldn't. Do
But it
library
sounds like
stuff, so.
for this particular one around intellectual
Yeah.
freedom and equal access, the committee is interested in the short form statements from
Yep.
option 2, the longer form statement mostly from option 1,
Yeah.
removing the word enlightened and maybe swapping it out with informed, but fussing around between the two a little bit based on some of the commentary you all have
You're so good. No wonder you're the director.
had.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
if I
I
could
agree
just,
with what she said.
and if I could just add something, I'm sort of also looking at this in terms of a duty which I will soon not have, which is writing letters to people. And for me, that one sentence, "We embrace diversity of people, opinion, and thought," is the perfect sentence for some of the letters that we get. How dare you do X and Y? And it's like, because this is what we are. So,
Read library.
and then just as a devil's advocate on, I know I've had people say to me that they feel like ALA is a left-wing organization. So for us to be mindful of that in terms of language that we use. And I think that, enlightened could raise the hackles of people, yeah, but just
I know.
because I've
It's
heard
like-
people say that,
It's like the Enlightenment that raised hackles. Of course, that was a while ago.
raising hackles is
And
okay.
I thought our
we don't have
founding documents were based on this, but that's okay. Yeah, I'm fine with this and take Enlightenment out or say informed or something like that. There's lots
Okay.
of words.
Thinking about informed, Brian,
Yeah.
I think we should just omit it. Because what is the real definition of, you have people who have different realities. And we want to be able to have everybody free to say what they think, don't we?
Yeah.
That's true, but that doesn't mean they're not informed. I mean,
Well, one
in
person's
fact,
opinion of informed is not
Yeah.
necessarily another's.
I know.
I
But-
guess, so
but
I
I
think
think-
it's better to leave it out.
All
personally.
right, I'm fine with leaving it out, but I'm just going to tell you that my view of a public library is that it doesn't matter what you think is good or bad information. If it's information and it's got some value to it, it should be there. and anybody can read it and anybody can complain about it or can adopt it. I don't care. It just needs to be there. It needs to be available to people. That's just my thought. But yeah, I'm fine with changing or leaving out the word, but not intellectual freedom or equal access.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Do you all have what you need to modify that one?
I think so.
I think we can easily make those changes. We'll create another option that
All right.
ties the two together that will hopefully take care of that.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Learning and innovation.
Next one is learning and innovation. This is actually a revised value. As currently written, it's learning focused. And so we've changed that and created the two different options you have here. By and large, the committee had a clear majority that favored these, the ones that had the most support. We actually, I think, crafted at least 4 different versions, and maybe as many as 6. I can find it in my notes at the moment. We had 4 different versions. These are the 2 that got the most support. I mean, in general, we discussed whether we wanted learning innovation to apply to the library or to the community at large. We felt that the value statement that you'd looked at before of innovative adequately covered the library side of things. This is designed more to cover the community side.
Okay.
And we also like the phrase skilled professional staff who believe that powerful results are possible. That kind of struck a tone with us.
My personal preference was the second option, mainly because I like critical and innovative thinking. I like those phrases and things, but risk-taking, lifelong learning, all those things are good and they fit in our community. I mean, you know, we've got a lifelong learning institute up at Mason University and things like that. But let's open it up, and anybody else have anything, especially somebody who might be on the school board. How are we doing? Are we okay, Priscilla? That's why I wanted you here.
I have to say, I really love the simplicity of option 1. And I like the promote educational and personal growth, because that really is inclusive of everyone, even your preschoolers. And you know, the idea of what is educational is left up to the user, which I think is nice. I mean, I think the wording in that option 1 paragraph is, you know, is really powerful. It stands out to me. Believe me, Brian, I am a fan of critical and innovative thinking.
I know.
And intellectual risk taking and lifelong learning. I don't want to leave them out either. But I also think about people who are looking at this document, and you know, they may not be used to unpacking those kinds of phrases, but I think everyone can connect with. I go to the library to learn and to pursue my interests, and I think that comes out really clear in option 1. But you know, just like you said, well, this is what I think, and everyone can disagree with me. That goes without saying for me, right? No one needs permission to disagree with me.
Yeah. No, I like what you're saying, actually, and I value your experience, you know, as an educator. So, any other comments on this? Or?
So do we have Jessica, you have your hand up.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I really like the short form statement for option 1. I agree with Priscilla. I think that it is incredibly relatable, regardless of where you might be in your life. But I like the longer form statement on the second one. I think it's a stronger blend of both the staff learning side of things and the public learning and innovation side of things. I connected more strongly to that second one. And I thought and I particularly like the last sentence where it talked about workforce changes, just because we've discussed that in previous meetings as well.
I'm reading them again.
I have a question. Are we, I know we used to use the word patrons, then we changed to customers. And
you are reading my mind.
And I see patrons there and I'm like, wait, did we go back to that?
You are literally reading my mind, because my next comments after we discussed this was to point out that the previous value of intellectual freedom and equal access used the term customer, and this one uses the term patron. And we as the staff committee have been talking about this and whether or not there was a preference. And we asked Jessica what she thought, and we wanted to ask your thoughts on what this is. I can tell you that our research of the profession is that there's no clear answer. And that it's been something that's been looked at and has been on the radar for at least a decade.
Yeah.
They suggest, I read a Barry Goodson, another of our staff members, found an article and forwarded it to everybody. And it talked about customers, it talked about patrons, it talked about visitors, it talked about members, it provided
Users.
a number of other options that were interesting that I never would have thought about. Clients, for example, users. And one of the things we've tried to do is to try to be consistent in our language so that we don't change back and forth and use too much jargon. We kind of came to the conclusion that there is no perfect word to use one over the other.
True.
And that maybe it's okay to use them interchangeably depending on how the statement fits with them.
Yeah.
But would love to hear what you guys think.
Well, my personal preference is for patrons, but I tend to say that, but I understand about the customer thing. I remember when that was discussed. So, but one thing I do like, I'm fine with option 1, whatever mission statement and the values, and option 2. But in that last sentence, and I'll ask Jessica or anybody this, it says we support. Well, the sentence before says we do all this cool stuff for the community. Okay, and our community, we've agreed, is everything. It's Fairfax County, it's Fairfax City, it's this, that, and the other stuff. But then the last one says we support patrons. So what it's saying to me, and this is fine if it's what it's supposed to say, is that, we support everybody, the One Fairfax and all that stuff. And, if you're going to use the library, we want to help you expand knowledge, experiences, preparing for workforce changes. Obviously, they have to use the library, but if we say it's patrons, does that mean that if somebody doesn't have a library card yet and they want to do it, they better, I don't know, they have to make a choice?
I get what you're saying.
And that's
Like,
fine. You see what I
maybe we
mean? It like narrows it down to, if you come through that door, we're going to do this, but if you don't, hey, too bad. And I don't like that. Is there a way to word it to say, hey, come on, come through the door. We're
well,
trying
it
to
could
get
certainly
to
be amended to we support community members, or we support
people, everybody.
people, or something
People.
like
I
that.
like people. People's good.
Yeah,
word,
we can change it to make it the larger encompassing statement that the previous
Yeah.
sentence is.
And
Does that bother
Brian,
anybody else or not? I don't know. Maybe I'm
Or
being silly, but-
residents?
well, it's more than residents.
Residents,
than
it's
that,
more
yeah,
than, it's
yeah.
really anybody. I mean, we've had visitors. It happens during the summer a lot. They usually come to the book sale, but it's really cool. They'll go, oh, wow, this is neat. We have libraries, but they're not like this and stuff. So it's fun talking to them, and it's neat that they can come into our libraries, even if they live in East Podunk somewhere. I'm fine with that. So I just wanted to be open enough to say that you don't have to be specifically, a library patron. And I know now people aren't going to lose their cards quite as often because of the fine-free thing, but it will happen perhaps. And we really just need to be open. We're a public library. We want you in here. So I don't know. I'm fine with it, but
We support the public in expanding their knowledge.
that's good
That's
thought.
nice.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
yeah.
works. That works, yeah.
Anyway.
That's visitors and residents.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Okay,
anybody?
well, we
have
can certainly
anything?
recraft that last statement to fix
Yeah.
that.
And I really wish we could get critical thinking in, but that's okay. That's my thing because I've
And
got.
if the committee has
Okay.
additional feedback on patrons versus
Yeah.
customers versus users, there's plenty of time for that. My
Mhm.
personal preference was also for patrons, but I think that is just the history of it, because that's what I grew up with in my career. That was the phrase
Oh,
we
yeah.
used. I
No,
mean, you could call
I
them
agree.
bleep blurps, and as long as we use it consistently, it's fine. They all make sense in different contexts, like Doug was saying earlier.
True.
We had a
Okay.
poll run among the staff committee, and patrons was the leader.
Yeah, I think it has to be, but that's all right. You know, in certain instances, you call them customers, like book sales.
Yeah, exactly. Customers implies an exchange of money, and
To me,
yeah,
it does. But
patrons can have sort of an elitist kind of thing, but I don't think it does.
But no clients. Clients implies that
And
we're like
clients is also a
treating them.
money exchange kind of thing. Yeah, users sounds mean. You know, user, you.
One of the things
Sounds
that one of the things that the staff committee talked about along these lines, I want to say it was Lauren Williams is a big stickler for not commodifying anything with the library and
Mhm.
tying it to business or money or anything like that, because
Mhm.
that's not what we're about.
Right.
You know, we went through a period where the whole idea was to get government to think of themselves as a business and hopefully
Yeah.
be more, you know, efficient or cost conscious. And the reality is that we are government, we're not business. We
Right.
don't do things the same way. Even if we
Right.
do the same
Right.
thing,
Right.
we by nature do not do them the same way.
Okay.
And
we
also,
talked
we
on-
didn't
oh.
really have a discussion at least when I was working, about whether we were going to use patrons or customers. It was an edict.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Remember? Suzanne remembers. And
I do, and
it was hard.
it was very difficult to accept.
Yeah, but we didn't have it. We had to. Yeah. So anyway, that's enough of
Was
that.
that going from patron to customer?
Yeah.
Because I've
Yes.
had that conversation with some staff that are still here that have been here a long time, like me.
And
I
me.
remember that.
Yeah.
It was like,
And they
flip
actually
the switch. That's a new word now.
mentioned that it's not like we had a choice. It was just
Yeah.
the way it was.
That's right. That's right. And that whole business model thing, which we see how efficient business is, don't we? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Okay. Are we okay on this one, Doug? You have enough to
Yeah, I think we got enough
work something
to
out
make
next
changes.
time? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go.
So the next one is, the next two actually are new value statements.
Mhm.
The first one, there's stewardship and accountability. That is actually, it had been a value statement back in one of our earlier iterations of the strategic plan back in, I think it was the 2013 to 15 plan. So it's not unusual to see it. And it is important, and the staff committee talked about how we felt it was important that the public recognize that we take this seriously. It's not that we're just spending their money on whatever we feel we want to. It's we take that responsibility seriously, and we're accountable for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like this. It's short and sweet. I
Yeah.
don't like to define a word with the same word. So again, option 2 is my preference, at least for the mission statement. FCPL values responsible and transparent cultivation and management of resources. To me, that says what stewardship is. And but the second statement, I just want something good. So, any comments on this from other people or the staff?
I mean,
Either one?
accountable sounds like we're in compliance. It gives me a compliance feeling.
You mean the
versus
accountability?
using the word accountable. Not that being accountable is a bad thing. I just think it's more, I don't know what the word is. I mean, it's,
I don't know what else to use. I mean, if you think
I
about
like
it, this
what
is,
I'm saying is the phrase in option 2 to provide the highest possible value to the communities we serve. There's no ambiguity there, and
Yeah, I
that's
like that.
more of a
Oh, I like that,
value
for sure.
statement.
Mhm. Yeah.
It occurs to me you could, in the first option, use responsible rather than accountable.
You could.
Well, yeah.
But
I mean,
I tend to
responsible-
like the second one better.
Yeah. Yeah, I like option 2, but
Agreed.
anybody else? Okay, everybody? Yeah, Kylie says she likes option 2. Okay,
Well, I'm
so let's
thinking
go
of the
with
people.
option 2 here. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking of the people who say, I pay your salary, and
well,
You know,
no,
they,
that's fine.
people have that, so that
Yeah.
it's good to address that issue.
Yeah, we have to
Right,
say it.
and-
We're
and you would
given
know
funds,
from
we
being-
use them.
Fran, you would know from being in a branch that I'm sure you heard that from people that came in and said, you know, I pay your salary. And
Yeah,
that is kind of our take on accountability, is that we're not only accountable to one, the agency, okay, and in our board and our director, but also to the county for the way we spend the money that the county allocates to us, as well as to the public who provides that.
right. And I think sometimes for staff as well as the public to understand the levels of accountability that apply to the business office and purchasing and all of that, it's quite, you know, I think it's, you know, that whole issue of dealing with tax dollars is really critical and paramount in a lot of the methods that seem onerous. And why do you have to do that? Why can't you just, you know, give me the money? It's like, well, no, because there is a real accountability of what's going on with the money. And I remember that we used to joke in the workroom, like when someone would say that we wanted to go to the cash drawer and pull out a dime and say, here's your share of what you pay me. But we never did.
Yeah. No, I know. But I like option 2 because it talks, well, like, you know, I mean, Priscilla read it, but it doesn't exactly say accountable for public funds, which we are, of course, or the staff is, but they're also accountable for, you know, if I'm a friends group and I'm giving us, so I don't know, $200,000, you know, I want to make sure that you're a trustworthy organization and that you're going to use this right and you're going to use it for what if we, you know, delineate what we want it for, that's what it's for. If we give it to you in general, that's fine, but use it right, use it. So I don't know, option 2 to me seems open enough to take not only the public funds, but the funds from the foundation, from friends groups, from anybody who gives them to us and say that
good.
we're going to do well. So,
It is good.
okay. All right. So option 2 on that one. Next.
Okay. So our next,
diversity. This is easy, and everybody agrees with it. So, no,
so this was our final new value, is diversity and inclusion.
Yeah.
We had discussed combining this with, because we had a whole list of things that we were trying to decide whether they should be values, whether they should be mentioned in the narrative, whether they could be goals or objectives. And the two that kind of came together with this were diversity and inclusion, and then staff and volunteers. And we had a couple of examples where we combined the two and they just did not work. So we cut it down to diversity and inclusion and figured we would mention the importance of staff and volunteers in the narrative as we craft that. We thought, given the fact that, you know, we've got one Fairfax and that the county strategic plan was written with the lens, the equity lens, that this would be a good value for us to have.
I agree with that, absolutely. Again, I like option 2. I don't know who wrote option 2s, but for some reason I seem to like those. I like it though, if you would change them to more action words again. We embrace diversity of people, opinion, and thought, okay? We value and respect all members of the community, remove barriers to participation, foster community connections to a wide array of programs, et cetera, et cetera. I just like that. And the only, what did I put here? Oh, I had to look up, you know, I have a tendency to use bias and prejudice interchangeably, and I'm wrong. You know, bias can be positive or negative. Prejudice generally is negative. It's ill or not informed. So I can understand that. But in the last sentence, I thought maybe it could say something like, we strive to examine our own biases and prejudices to eliminate all forms of unfairness, which is what biases tend to lead to, and discrimination, which is what prejudice tend to lead to, yield within the organization. So I just thought the unfairness word should be in there. Again, just focusing on the fact that bias and prejudice don't necessarily mean the same thing. Maybe I'm being pedantic. I don't know. Fran, you're an expert on pedantry. What?
No.
I'm only kidding. I'm kidding you. But seriously, am I right here? Am I
I don't know.
reading too
I
much
don't
into it?
know. I didn't go
Made
into
a
it
good
that deeply.
argument.
I don't know. What do you think? Is it right?
Could we leave out county and just say to our Fairfax communities? Because you're omitting.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
I
we're
see.
also into yeah.
That's
Yeah,
my.
or just say our communities. We've said
Communities.
it a lot.
Or
but
in our
we've used
service,
our
just-
service
or just
to-
in our service, period. To the public.
Oh, okay, to the public, to the,
Okay.
That makes
yeah,
it,
I'm
you know,
fine with that. Yeah.
yeah.
A good one.
Yeah.
I like the addition of the unfairness and discrimination. I don't think,
Yeah.
even if we're not exactly spot on with the balance of the definitions, it doesn't detract from it at all. It adds to it, because discrimination and unfairness are different, but they are both things that we should be paying attention to.
True.
Mhm.
And like I said, a bias. See, I could be biased. Well, I'm biased towards critical thinking, right? So I like smart people.
Yep.
Cool. So now, am I gonna only have really difficult books and no simple books? No, that isn't right. You know, that's unfair, and that's what the bias leads to. Prejudice is just something else. But still, yeah, I understand that. So, yeah, I just think we have to be very clear about that and just say, you know, we're going to do it. So I don't know.
Okay.
Any
So we
other
can
comments?
certainly make those changes on that second option for you. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this particular one?
Yeah.
You know, the only thing I just now noticed is that
Mhm.
some of these statements start off with FCPL and some of them start off with we. Like if you look at the stewardship and accountability FCPS values,
Yeah.
and then, you know, option 1 in diversity and inclusion says we embrace. And then we also have a we in learning and innovation, but FCPL and intellectual freedom. So I don't have a preference there. I just didn't know if that was intentional.
It wasn't intentional, and we've actually talked about, again, the consistency of how we phrase things and whether we use one or the other. That was actually.
I think we need to be consistent. Yeah, I think we need to be consistent.
Discussed. But we don't have we don't lean one way or the other necessarily either. I think the statement sometimes informs what word is, you know, maybe a little works a little better, but you know, we can certainly be consistent all the way through and use one or the other, whichever you guys prefer.
Well, if we were to do that, my preference would be for FCPL, because I want them to be able to be read independently, right? So somebody worries about diversity, something happens, right? Okay, so now they're going to look at this statement. Well, what does we mean? Well, I don't know. Who the heck are we? You know, especially if we take out Fairfax County community. So saying it's the Fairfax County FCPL, which we defined up front, I think is important. I don't know, Jessica, does that matter to you? Do you think
I think
people would pick and
consistency-
choose? I think they will pick and choose. these
Consistency
things.
is important, and I agree that using FCPL instead of we, if we're looking to do that, makes more sense than saying we.
Okay, let's do that.
So
then.
we'll make sure that all of our statements are consistent with that.
Yeah, is that more formal, Fran? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think so.
Is that good? I
Yeah,
think it's good.
I think so.
Yeah. Again, what I
Well,
really care about is that somebody's just going to jump right into our strategic plan as they do, and they'll pick things out and they'll cherry pick, they call it, right? And they'll look at these things. And we just have to make sure that if they're just reading one of them, they know that it's us. It's Fairfax County. This is not a Loudoun County. This is not a whatever. It's not Fairfax City. It's Fairfax County Public Library, which encompasses all these other things.
Did we get rid of drawing strength from the differences? Did that go away?
That's in the short form option of the first one.
Yeah, I really like that, but I don't know.
Oh, you
if
like to draw strengths and
I
distances?
I do, and I don't know. I mean,
Well-
and maybe I just want to put too much in there, but I think that's because to me, that's a really critical aspect of,
Okay.
Anyway, just my.
Well, we
we
embrace-
can play with that too. I mean,
Okay,
Yeah, that's fine. We embrace the diversity of people, opinion, and thought. comma,
And draw
I don't know,
strength.
drawing strength and draw strength from differences, right?
Mhm.
And differences can
Yeah,
be
because of
common.
the
You could
different
put
perspectives and that,
Yeah,
you know, sees
different
things that you
perspectives.
never
I
thought
like that,
of. Yeah.
but it's also different people, different opinion, different perspective. Yeah, okay, all right, yeah. Please play with it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Not a problem. So
Okay.
that covers all of the
Okay.
new.
I like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to just, thank you, Doug, and the whole staff committee for all the stuff you've done. This is great. Really makes
That
me
is-
think. So what do we do now? Let's see. I've lost
So-
my, oh, there it is. I
I can
lost my
tell you-
agenda. I apologize.
While you're about to go into your agenda, Brian, let me just mention that right now the committee is working on goals. I was hoping to have actually a draft to you before this meeting earlier this
Okay.
week, but that's proved a little more difficult than but we are in the midst of deciding on goals. In tandem, we've got a list of possible objectives as well. And we've started work on the narrative as well. So we're not fully waiting to finish one to go on to the next, to go on the next. So the other three things are happening kind of at the same time.
Good, thanks. Do you see the goals and objectives being broken out by these different mission value statements or
Not by the
overall? In other
values.
words.
No, we see the mission, the vision, the values as like, they've often been referred to as guiding principles or guiding statements as kind of standalone themselves.
Yeah.
And then for the goals, we'll have objectives under each goal and probably strategies too under each goal as to how.
To get to the objective?
So here's the goal. Here's how we're going to
Yeah.
get to the goal. And here's the specific things we're going to do.
Here's how we measure whether or not we got to the goals. I guess that's okay in the strategic plan, right? It's not necessary, right? Jessica, the way I see it, I don't want to have the trustees, although obviously we're having staff input here and we've got you around, to give you operational guidance. I mean,
Sure.
I'm Navy, right?
No.
I've been Navy
And
for
what
24
what
years,
we-
so I don't want to do that. I want to say what we want to do, where we want to get to. You tell me how you're going to do it. I'll either approve or not approve, and then how you measure how we get there. But it's okay to say that, I think, in a strategic plan. I just want it to be open enough that it doesn't tie your hands or the hands of anybody on the staff, right?
I think we'll be okay. So what we've tended to do with these is keep them fairly high level because they have to cover all the branches, all the
Yeah.
divisions,
Yeah.
and a multitude of years with changing circumstances. So even as we identify goals and objectives underneath, every year our branches and divisions are putting together their own work plans that feed into that are not part of this overarching process. So I am guessing we'll probably be fine to both give the board something that you know what's going to happen at the end, but you won't know exactly how it's happening at every individual location and division.
Right. And down the road, once the plan is done and it's in place and it's been rolled out, branches and departments will be able to look at it and say, okay, well, here's what we can do under that objective to help the system meet that goal. And it can be as specific as they need it to be for their particular circumstance, their branch, their department.
Yep.
Sounds good to me. Okay, let's see. Okay, next meeting now. So we ought to meet what? July? Well, no, July we don't have. Oh, wait, July we do have a meeting. a board
Yeah,
meeting.
absolutely.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I will reach out to you, Brian, tomorrow to find some dates that work for your calendar, likely in about a 6-week time frame. That should give staff plenty of time to finalize the next chunk of things for you all to discuss. So this committee should anticipate meeting sometime after the 4th of July.
Great. And you'll again give us the stuff ahead of time. I like that. A week or two gives me time to go through it and all. Any other last minute things from anybody on the committee or anybody else? No? I guess Priscilla left.
Yeah, Priscilla had to hop off.
She
for
had to
her
go.
meeting.
Okay, got it. All right, then there being no objections, I'd like to adjourn. Any problem with that? See, I can do this, right, Fran? I don't have to have a motion, right?
I don't know about adjournment.
Oh, I thought you were the expert. Okay, do I have a motion to
Nah.
adjourn? May I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure.
So move. I'm not on the
Okay.
committee, so I don't think I can.
Seconded, I'll second it. I'm on the committee.
Go
I'm not
ahead.
supposed to because I'm here.
Do whatever you
Okay,
want.
all right. We're adjourned at whatever time.